Let's go to the diary room.
Every single season and learn everything that there is to know about everybody.
Please make your way to the diary
celebrity, Brandon. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Diary Room, a Big Brother podcast where we are trying to find the best player in Big Brother history. And today, yet again, we're going up north to see if that best player in BB history resides from the world of BB Can. As we're here in these bonus episodes all throughout December. Hope you are enjoying them so far. Another very fun one coming your way today. Before we bring in our guest, of course, I am Matt here, as always, with Aman. Aman, Merry Almost Christmas.
Merry almost Christmas. Except we're in the North Pole, not the... Oh, wait, no. Wait, is he the North Pole or South Pole? He's the North Pole.
Are we?
And because we're going to Canada. So I'm saying...
I don't think Santa's in either. Well, I don't think Canada's in either.
It's not, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Great.
We're going up north. Jesus Christ.
I guess if we had given our guest today enough notice, he probably could have put together probably could have put together a Santa suit to really just fit the theme here, considering every time I see him on a podcast these days, he's in costume. But today we're going to have just a nice, chill, relaxed conversation about Big Brother. And returning to the podcast, it is the great Mike Bloom. Mike, how are you?
I'm great, Aman. I'm so sorry to reveal this to you. Santa's not real.
Whoa!
I know I'm bringing the heat this time around, ironically enough. I mean, it's wild because the last time I was on here was a very Christmas themed episode, both in terms of the person and the holiday. That was the source of Bennett Gate, as the fans are calling it here on the Diary Room. I actually went to San Francisco for the RHAP live event, and I had at least one person come up to me and say, that was wild that you picked Jonathan Bennett. And that was how long ago at this point? That was living rent-free in their heads.
August 9th, 2024.
Oh my God. Yeah, this was more than a year ago. And people were ready. And listen, I appreciate it. I love the old business to attend to. So I'm happy that you were able to bring me back so I can just cause new controversies all over the place.
I'm like feeling chaotic today. Like I feel like I could make a crazy decision, and in the spirit of Mike Bloom, like we could do it. Let me just remind everybody the other matchups from that episode. So yeah, Jonathan Bennett went through to round 2 over fourth place finisher from BB18, Corey Brooks.
All right, you don't have to describe him like that. Yeah, and I will also say Christmas theme as well. I don't think even we talked about Jonathan Bennett, of course, host of the hit Hallmark Plus reality series Finding Mr. Christmas.
Yes. So what a fitting matchup. Not that it's happening right now, but to bring back up around this time of year. So there's that. And then we had, I don't know, the other ones were relatively easy. Memphis went through over Glenn Garcia, the original Joey Rodriguez. And that one wasn't too hard. And then Jasmine from BB24 went through over Tanya from Big Brother 3. So, relatively simple.
Yeah.
But no BB Can was in that episode. Today we're going to go all BB Can. Mike, I mean, look, let's just bring it back a step. Of course, we watched Big Brother 27 this summer. You were covering it every step of the way. Now that we're a couple of weeks behind, we've just been checking in with everybody about how they feel about the season in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean, I still really, really enjoy it. I mean, look, every sort of, I think, analysis of a season of reality TV, let alone Big Brother, will always have its differences in watching in the moment versus watching in retrospect. I am someone who never predicates a determination of a season one way or the other on the outcome. I'm much more about a journey over a destination person, especially a show like Big Brother, right? Where, as we've experienced recently, when you don't exactly know how it's going to end, the editing and storytelling can be incredibly wonky. And look, this has maybe one of the biggest blemishes on it in recent memory in the form of just the absolute fuckery that happened with this White Locust twist. And we got so phenomenally lucky that Mince went full Mince as soon as that started happening, because it led to some of the most riveting interpersonal drama that we've ever seen in an end game. And so, I personally sort of desensitize myself, kind of quarantine myself away from the Big Brother stuff once the season concludes. So not even being able to engage in any deep dives or, any stuff that's come out afterwards, just looking back on it on the whole. God, I had so much fun. This was such a fun time. This is one of those seasons, I think, also where you look at even more than 26, where I think we ascribe this to, you look at so many sliding doors in that season and think about how things could have gone incredibly differently, right? Going as far back as like if Mickey doesn't win that blockbuster when it's her, Morgan, and Riley on the block. Obviously, there was everything going on with the White Locust, but if Vince isn't convinced to put Lauren up, like all these sorts of little micro decisions that happen within the first half of the game and how it led to what was a really intriguing, arguably one of the most interesting finales in 3 years or so, goes to show how, like, again, despite one stupid, horrible thing happening in the middle of it, like, when we get lucky, we are eating good. And I still think that's going to be after the fact. I think that as much as people might have certain reservations about who won over who and the middle of the season and everything like that, this always happens where next year there's going to be, unless this 28 proves to be somehow even more chaotic, I think there's going to be a lot of reverence looking back towards 27 once people get further away from it and can maybe get a little less like, nose to the tree in the forest metaphor of like, okay, I hate this person, I love this person. I think in general, actually, my hot take is probably going to be that there's already kind of been a little bit of like a more like objectively appreciation for Vince in all these months later, right? We're like, there's so many people, including our friend Taryn Armstrong, who were just run absolutely raggedly mad by all the stuff this man was doing in the house. But once you're not paying attention to him 24 hours a day and you just look at just the fact that this might be one of the most feckless people I've ever seen on reality TV, it is so enjoyable. And I think we're going to get a lot more of that as we encroach upon next Big Brother season and absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, Amon. We were just talking about Taryn and Morgan having done their deep dive. 7 hours. They broke the record.
Yeah, that's insane. But from what I can tell from what people were clamoring for, it seems like the girls were fed. So I'm glad. And I do think that Morgan's game, there is a lot that, you can get into. And I think with someone who is a gamer, I think, she's primed for that type of thing, to talk about all of the minutia of every, as Mike just said, micro decision and all of that. Because when it comes to, going hand in hand with Vince, I'm sure that even compounds upon itself, all the micro decisions. So, yeah.
And with BB27 in the rear view mirror, I guess you could say, Mike, we don't have any upcoming Big Brother until next summer. Not even a celebrity, not even all winter, like none of that seems to be on the horizon. Seems to be pretty confirmed to not be happening.
Yeah, pretty much. Dalton Ross did an interview with Allison Grauner and Rich Meehan. Certainly inspired some conversations about certain elements, particularly referring back to that aforementioned White Lotus twist. But yeah, they pretty much confirmed that like they would be interested in a celebrity season. They would be interested in a reindeer games, but CBS at this moment really is not. I think it honestly just depends on like if the network has availability, if they have holes in their schedules. I think that we were all anticipating a Celebrity Big Brother 4 because, 2 out of the 3 seasons happened in Winter Olympics years as sort of like counter programming. Seems like they're not necessarily in on that. I would not be surprised, actually, not to talk about like the entire scope of a network TV, but if they don't come back with like anything new until end of February, beginning of March, just because these seasons run a little bit shorter now, even just half seasons of some of these network shows. Survivor, I think, is like soft confirmed to be premiering in late February. And so I guess rather than go up against the Winter Olympics, they're just going to kind of avoid them altogether and show reruns. I would say on the one hand, it sucks. On the other hand, I do feel like the proliferation of the traders has kind of satiated a reality TV palette of like, oh, I want to watch celebrities play, social strategy competitions.
Exactly, yeah.
And then on the other hand, again, I think when we talk about remembering, back on things more warmly than in the moment, Celebrity Big Brother 3 was not a good season. Like it was a very, very combination like boring and toxic season, which is like almost twice damning. And so, yeah, I know that, again, absence makes the heart grow fonder, but I don't know if I was exactly clamoring to see it back. The concept is fun, but again, between Masked Singer or even Matt, your beloved Dancing with the Stars, which has risen to prominence since Celebrity Big Brother has been on, I feel like we are well up as well on just, hey, if you want to watch celebrities be on reality shows, you have a myriad of options right now.
I think we're just mostly looking for the house. We just want to see someone in the house, and celebrities were filling that spot with the Olympics, but like, I don't care. Put seven newbies in the house and let me watch them for a couple of weeks just to fill that like BB Can missing gap, Celebrity Big Brother missing gap. Like we have to wait until the next year. And look, hey, here in the Diary Room podcast, we're keeping ourselves busy with Big Brother content all year round. But it's not the same as turning those feeds on and seeing what's going on in there.
I mean, I can imagine that also with the success of the traders. I think if I am a celebrity and I do want to be on TV competing in some type of social strategy game, I probably would be holding out for that call from Peacock and not from CBS. So like maybe there's a world in which if there was a celebrity Big Brother 4 and they were putting out feelers for different celebrities, I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of them were like, I mean, not that all of them are in the position to be saying no, because in this economy, bitch, take the money.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine that some of them will be like, I'm gonna wait to just make sure I don't have to get locked into some kind of contract with you guys because I'd rather be with Peacock. So I don't know. Yeah, it's the traders it is the era of the traders right now. Alan Cummings is king right now.
That would be insane if somehow like CBS locked in like Nene Leakes to an exclusivity contract.
Yeah, for that, like that. This is the one that New York does, not the traders.
Right. And it's like, yeah, well, now you can't go anywhere for months. Sorry. I hope it's not like that, or imagine these celebrities have enough negotiating power. But yeah, I understand the fear behind it. Mike, we're gonna get into BB Can today. That's what you're here to help us with. Another franchise that is no longer here with us. It's crazy to be thinking back, like how many shows have I guess has the RHAP network, let alone before the RHAP network, like talked about that no longer exist. And the fact that BB Can is now firmly in that, and look, of course we're all going to be optimistic that maybe it'll come back someday, but just a lot of these shows that just don't exist anymore, and we look back fondly, this is one of them now.
Yeah, and I think there is a difference because listen, the path of 15 years of RHAP has been laid with plenty of these one-off reality shows that have come and gone, be it your Opposite Worlds, your Whodunits, your Utopias. But BB Can is definitely different because that thing ran for like 11 and change seasons, right? Like technically 12 seasons. We don't really count 8 for many reasons. Yeah. But I mean, this was one that we covered from beginning to end that ran for over a decade. And so it is kind of strange, but I don't know about you guys. Like, I do kind of like the closed den format of it. Again, asterisk when it ends up, re-engaging itself. But knowing that, there's not a huge amount of names you need to throw in again, that you can sort of talk about this as a product on the whole, because again, talk about you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Now, listen, Big Brother Canada, maybe Matt, that's why you're feeling extra chaotic to say, is because it does have so much twist fuckery happening, especially in those early seasons. But like, that can definitely, it definitely does cloud some things, especially with results, especially with like some strategy that we'll get into here. It's more than made up for by the casting, by the editing, by the hosting, by the house aesthetic. I mean, you talk about being excited to see the house. I was always so thrilled to see what wackadoo concept those interior designers at the Brick, or I'm assuming, did the Brick work? Did the Brick even work on this, or did they just throw furniture in there?
I mean, whoever did it was doing a lot of good work. I think the Brick was mostly the furniture, but
did they have to then go to the Brick though? Be like, hey, this year's a space house. Do you have space furniture for our space house?
Well, we have gray and blue. Does that work for you?
Sure. Yeah. You know what? Fine. And look, I know that people make fun of like, the product placement that existed and everything, but I found the editing more palatable on the whole than in Big Brother US. I mean, it's also just really interesting as sort of I wouldn't even say a cautionary tale, but like so interesting to look at, even not even its, sister to the South in Big Brother US, but like other reality shows and the daily deep dives or whatever they were called, being a substitute for live feeds, being one of the biggest like canaries in the coal mine I've seen in a long time in reality TV, of like, okay, if they do this, then that means that it might be the first step towards, a long path towards the end of it all. So even if we find like equivalents among other shows, right? Like I was talking about this with like Australian Survivor, it's like, hey, if you, it's a hot topic nowadays, but like, hey, if they're reducing the number of days that are being played, or if they're reducing the number of contestants, what does that mean? If they fire the host, what could that mean about the dire straits the network is in and what might be coming sooner rather than later? It's unfortunate that like that is sort of one of the main takeaways I have from the franchise, besides it being just such a fun time to spend the spring and be such a great way to get in the Big Brother mood before the long summer hits us. But regardless, don't frown because it's over, smile because it happened. And hopefully we'll be smiling today, looking back upon some very fun contestants from, again, some of like the best Big Brother seasons too. Like Big Brother Canada 12 went out on a pretty high note, I think, especially the ending. BB Can 10 was one of the best seasons in recent memory before I think the US started hitting its stride. So there's always going to be something to talk about with BB Can, which again, you can't always say about Big Brother US.
Yeah, BB Can 11 doing so poorly in their cast hitting the first time, let alone the second time. Amon, can I spoil the Traders Canada for you unless you already know what happened to the first boot? Do you know who the first boot was?
I have no idea, but it's fine. You can spoil.
It's a long time after it aired for anybody watching this right now. But I guess here's a warning in case you haven't watched the Traders Canada season 3. Pause and bow out. But the first boot of Traders Canada 3 was Ty, the winner of BB Can 11.
Oh, damn.
Now, to be fair, it was in a twist, actually not too dissimilar from something you might see in Big Brother Canada, where the Traders, one of whom was a fellow Big Brother Canada winner in Kevin Jacobs, were basically like told to pick 2 people, and it was Ty and it was Venus, and they were basically told at the end, like, okay, now one of them you're going to recruit to be a traitor, and the other one you're going to kill right now.
Yep.
And so Kevin was really upset about it. He wanted to recruit Ty. That's one of the reasons why he picked him, but unfortunately he was sort of pushed into picking Venus. And so just due to like honestly pure circumstances, because he was almost too well connected to a traitor, that he ended up becoming the first person out.
Damn. I'm sure Ty was like, damn, I thought we were going to go in this together, man. Winners of BB Can.
He thought he was going to have a chance to quit on his own again a couple weeks in and then make it to the end and still find a way to win. He said, let's run it back. And
Not this time, sugar.
Instead, they ran him out. But let me get the wheel up on screen. Amon, I think you might be able to see it. I don't know how big the text is for you.
Everybody that's left?
Just
No
about. Just about. Well, for BB Can, of course. Just about. But
that still it feels like we should have more people. Wow, we've done that much.
It's pretty far down there. We are getting so close to the end of the round, but you only take away 6 at a time. It's just getting bigger to see the names. Point being, as you look at the wheel, you can see some of these names. And look, we talk about for Big Brother US, we know, who hasn't come up still, some big names over there. But for here, I mean, I got to start with Aika.
Yeah.
Aika's here still.
She is holding out. She's like, y'all gonna give me my time, bitch. Y'all gonna give me my time.
And then I go to Gary. I see Nikki Graham.
I see
Kayla, Bruno.
It
Godfrey,
feels like Bruno has already
TV.
been a part of it, but no, he's just been on the show.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you had him.
Yeah. So like, there's a lot of those big names. There's still also
Godfrey. I'm seeing Godfrey as well.
The half.
Oh yeah,
season.
I got a few runner-ups actually. I just saw Josh too.
Did we say Nikki Graham already?
Yep.
But she's there. The BB Can 8 crew is still here. So it's just like a whole bunch of layups that are still available for anybody to go through pretty much.
I do see a Beth. Is that the why don't you go on the block Beth, or is that another Beth?
Is there another Beth? I think
I can't remember if there's another Beth.
That's Enjoy Jory Beth. That's that Beth.
Yeah,
right?
I think there's only one Beth in BB Can.
Maybe I'm confused because we actually wasn't her season on soon after the Big Brother 21 when Holly was accidentally called Beth.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beth, Wyoming 24.
She bakes funny cakes.
That didn't sound right. Beth, Wyoming 24. I mean, not
no, that was Holly Allen 24
Holly
Wyoming.
Oh, there we go.
Something. Yeah, I was like, something felt wrong.
Age, and then.
Anyway, so there's so many legends still here on this wheel, and so many duds. So what we have to do is try to get the legends through and try to get the duds out of here. But you just never know what could happen. Mike, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Spin that wheel, baby.
BB Can wheel. Got to get some of these people out of here. So
this will be a fun also jog down memory lane because I think there are some. Oh, okay, not the Kayla I was expecting.
Kayla from BB Can 12.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty recent.
I liked her. She was Kayla Cannon. She was kind of shot out of a cannon as well. I remember her being like a very big presence early on, and she was part of like one of the biggest gaslightings in recent memory, right? On Big Brother.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was shot out of a cannon or if her allies were, because
it burns my ass.
They shot her out of a cannon.
Yup,
man.
So let's talk about Kayla. Mon, do we have notes?
We do. Kayla spent the majority of the game in a safe position, being protected by the big sisters, Hot Chocolate, and the directors. Her position began to shift after being the figurehead in Matthew's back door. Despite seemingly being safe during her closest ally Avery's HOH, Anthony turned Victoria against Kayla and convinced Avery to backdoor her. With nobody feeling as they could trust her, Kayla was evicted by a vote of 5-0, placing 8th.
Yeah, Mike, you're picturing the same thing I am, and I think all three of us are. Just that house meeting where she was just being totally gaslit by her own allies, who, I'm going to say this forever, while we're talking about these players from the season, Spicy V and Co., who had the game in the palm of their hands and said, you know what? Let's shake things up. Let's get Kayla out of here. Let's gaslight her, make her feel like she did something wrong, even though she definitely did not. And let's shoot ourselves in the foot along the way and ruin our own games, because that seems like a fun thing to do.
Yeah. I I was kind of a little rooting against this alliance just a bit, because I felt like they did have a lot of control, and everything was just circulating around what these girls were doing. So I kind of wanted to see a little bit of adversity, but I didn't want to see this. It was just so it was just so out in the open, this whole betrayal, this whole house meeting that they called as well, where they're blaming her for things that she didn't do, propping her up as this big mastermind behind all of these moves, and the whole movie night massacre madness was a crazy thing.
And she was on the block, right, when that whole like pick your role thing ended up getting sorted out, because I couldn't remember where she. Matt, I remember you and I actually did that podcast, but I honestly can't remember where she fell in it. Like, was she put on the block by default? I don't remember how it all went down.
I think there were the guys were at the end of it, maybe Todd and Tola or something like that, because it had gone in order from, was it Spicy or Bailey? Bailey was the first one to go, and then like who they picked ended up being the next one to go into the room. So Spicy went after Bailey because Spicy put Bailey put Spicy on the board, and so on and so forth. So the guys, I think, were the last ones to go, and it ended up with Kayla and Goose nominations. But then the whole thing, goes down the hill for Kayla, where Anthony really capitalizes on realizing that there's a lot of distrust towards Kayla, and if he can really push people's buttons about it, especially Spicy and Avery, he could get some tension to really explode, and he did.
Well, yeah, because that was also like a little bit of there was always some division as well, right, with the Hot Chocolate and with the directors, with that what's his name, Matthew, the guy that was with Lexus, right? Because there was the whole thing where like Bailey and like Spicy and Kayla went with Bailey over Lexus and Anthony and everything, and evicted Matthew instead. So like the crumbs were there a little bit, right? Like this wasn't properly in placed out of nowhere, but it still was tough to watch. I mean, we talk about Celebrity Big Brother 3. That was very much the Shayna Moakler of it all, right? Where it's just, it sucks to kind of be this bystander and just watch firsthand, like someone just taking this narrative and being able to browbeat it into everybody else, despite it not being the truth whatsoever. And I thought that Kayla was like actually in, a good spot.
Yeah.
She seemed like, she had won, I think, 2 vetoes up to that point. Like she was a volleyball coach, I think. So like incredibly athletic, in well socially, obviously not as big of a personality as someone like, as her allies, like Victoria, like Avery, like Bailey. But like I remember her also being pretty animated alongside Bailey whenever they would have their shit talking sessions about the guys or other people. So I thought she had a lot of potential. I think on paper would usually be someone you'd expect to do well in the competition. It just ended up being that, she had betrayed sort of the wrong people, or at least lost the trust of some people earlier, and then subsequently lost the trust of everyone else due to not really any issue of her own. I do really think that as much as you can put blame on people for putting themselves in certain situations, like it felt that by that house meeting, the die had already kind of been cast, and anything she could have said would have been shouted down anyway.
It was just, again, it's sort of like a testament to Anthony's game, but also, a little bit of the asterisk goes in there with the fact that, like, Anthony and Victoria are always going to look out for each other first because
until the final 5.
until the final 5, because they're the vets in the house. So I guess you can. I mean, you can say to Kayla, maybe it wasn't the best idea for you to just be going around dropping little nuggets to Goose of all people, saying stuff like, "Oh, well, I don't think anybody could really beat Victoria in a final 2, because then, like, what does that suggest?" And then, Elijah goes to Anthony goes to Avery and to Alexis, and then Alexis is the one coming in after she's been. But that was the thing that pissed me off. Is like, you guys have been talking so much shit about Alexis the entire time. Y'all feel like she's aloof and she's with Matthew and she's not with y'all. And all of a sudden, you're believing Lexus coming into the fold, saying that Kayla is the one to distrust. I'm like, if we're losing our brains here, like where, like, how did we make that jump? But I can also understand Avery feeling like she's in a very vulnerable position because she, at the top of the game, was the first one to be like, we got to get Anthony and Victoria out of here. But the minute everything is like in her arena and she's the HOH and she's in a really nice spot, or what she perceives to be a nice spot with Anthony and Kayla, then it's like, okay, well, or Anthony and Vic. Okay, well, if Kayla's the one that's putting, attention on the vets, then I'm gonna be all team vet. And it's, it's like what Taryn always talks about with the spell of the vets. Like, it's just kind of hard to come from out under that once you decide to sign your soul away to the BB guides of veteran gameplay. You're kind of you're beholden to that to a certain extent until it's too late. And yeah, I think Kayla, and I think she acknowledged in her exit interview, I feel like she said that she probably would have just shut up a little bit more about that kind of stuff. But they probably ultimately would have found a way to get you out of there anyway, because it was always going to be one of them over her. So
it has to be like Bailey, who played the middle of it all perfectly.
Right.
Unfortunately, you're never going to overcome not just one, but 2 vets in the house. And when, for the first time in weeks, you have Anthony and Spicy on the same page, anti-Kayla here, where they had not really been totally on the same page before or for many weeks after this boot happens. Again, Anthony really capitalizes on the fact that he sees that there's some distrust from Spicy to one of her closest allies here, and he pushes on it, and it really spreads, and all of a sudden Kayla's, public enemy number 1, and she's out. Mike, you mentioned one of the veto, or the 2 vetoes. One of those was the crucial veto. I think I might have misspoke earlier, saying she was on the block next to Goose. It was Avery that was, but Kayla and Avery were the initial nominees in the Movie Night Massacre. And Kayla won that veto, where otherwise I think she goes home in that spot. I'm 99% sure.
Yeah.
So she saved herself in a crucial spot there. But
because remember, that was right after the Matthew boot as well. And so she was being perceived, I think, by half the house as like, well, Kayla was the one that organized his back door and she helped swing the house to get rid of him. And so, like, it makes sense to put her on the block. And so, yeah, she won that crucial veto and was able to stay her quite literal eviction for another round.
Like, a little bit of, I mean, this is so not the same thing, but I'm just like squinting and trying to see something, like a little bit of like the Netta spot of just like big threat. Let's take them out while we can, even though Anthony uses very different means to get her out. Again, it's totally not the same thing, but it's just like a little bit of like just screwed by the spot in the game that people were like, oh, let's do this now. And there's no way to fight out of it unless you win a veto, I guess. And didn't happen. So I don't know. Maybe there's something there, maybe not. So we have to find Kayla an opponent. And
I hope it's the other Kayla.
Oh no. I don't know if I feel great for this Kayla if that's the situation.
Listen, not to date things too much, but the time of recording this, we just had the whole Sophie Soph debacle on Survivor 49.
Yes.
So I want same name blood to be spilled here.
All right, well, we'll have to make 1 K and 1 Kayla so we can properly talk
Purple
about
Kayla.
them. But up next,
okay, well,
Big Brother Canada 8 maybe could have been the winner. It's Carol. This is so fitting for Mike Bloom.
Come on, Quentin Carroll. Come on.
Yes. So for those who don't remember, oh, Carol. Yeah, Carol. I mean, here's what I will say. Carol walked so Sweet Kenny K would run in terms of just vacillating back and forth on any given day as to whether or not you wanted to be in the game. And, Carol technically did not get evicted, but had the season continued on, even 2 more days, she would have actively asked to have been evicted.
Yes, I made these player cards over a year ago at this point, and I love when I find a little nugget just to make myself laugh. If you are watching the video here, you see that Carol's placement was that the season was canceled, so she didn't place, but she was about to quit. She was literally days, like hours away from quitting. And if not for the fact that the voice of Aaron Brock comes over the loudspeaker to say, "House guests, we have some very important news to share. The season's coming to an end." Carol would have been out the door that same day, just on her own accord. She was so ready to go.
Yeah. Go out into the world, into a pandemic, out into the unknown. Yeah, look, the only thing I really remember about Carol is that she kind of, I think a lot of us were fairly fine on her with the preseason content. Um, Still, like, BB Can 8's preseason, I think is still some of the best preseason like fervor I think we as a fandom have had, because everybody on the cast just seemed like they were there to have a good time. We were there to play. We had loud personality types. We had gamer types. There was like something for everybody, I feel like, for BB Can 8. And I believe she's a lesbian woman, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she had like she had the queer fans going in, and just everybody was like, "Oh yeah, she's gonna be this dark horse," and she's fine in like the first day or two, and then all of a sudden she just loses all of her gas.
Yeah, and
No
it was because
motivation.
it was because I think she missed her family, right? Like I'm pretty sure she was
Mhm.
Yeah.
married with a kid. I mean, the other, unfortunately, less memorable, but I would say more unsavory thing about Carol is I do recall her like making a comment about like how
Jamar.
Jamar like would have been targeted by the police if he was going to
Oh
come
yeah.
visit her in her town. And listen, again, certainly
Mhm.
not the worst thing to be done to Jamar in the course of Big Brother Canada 8, even how short with how it ran, but still not great, Carol. Not a great look.
Yeah, and it got called out, I think specifically by Jamar, who like sat on it for a second and was like, why are you saying that to me? Like, what relevance does that have, and why, like, what? So I think that got brought up, and I don't know if that, I can't remember if that had anything to do with like the mental place that she was at in the house going forward to like maybe wanting to get out of there as well. I can't remember exactly, but that's certainly something that happened. So it was all bad. Maybe not all. I think like the first couple of days, I think you were just saying, Amon, it felt like she was maybe going to be somebody to keep an eye out for. There was a scene of her like talking to Suzanne, I think it was, who was in trouble early on. And Min Lee was trying to get Suzanne out, and she was going to Suzanne being like, "Look, like I want to have your back. I'm just letting you know." Min Lee, who's like this very just somebody else in the house that a lot of people are paying attention to, very easy to put heat on her, and was kind of trying to maybe build a bridge with Suzanne and say, "Hey, let's work together. I have your back. Somebody else is coming after you." So there was like that one glimpse of potential, and then that was it for the entire rest of the way through.
Yeah, I think too that she was just very emotionally exhausted by the game. She didn't really, aside from that, she really didn't have a core alliance. She kind of was just floating around, and not in the gamer sense. And I think that she just knew. I mean, she was a little older than some of the other guests too, so I feel like that always can intensify the feelings of isolation.
I'm actually pretty sure she was the oldest house guest that season by at least like
Mhm.
a decade.
That tracks.
Yeah. So
again, it's giving sweet Kenny K.
yes, it is. Yes,
And
it
So I
just
is.
don't know.
like
I don't know
Sweet
about
Kenny
Carol's
K.
marriage situation. If it directly carries over to off-season activities.
Well, we'll never know. If you tell me, if any one person in the comments or elsewhere or anybody at all tells me one thing that we know about Carol since the season has come to an end, maybe I'll Venmo you $1. Like,
Yeah,
I just don't believe
I
that you
actually
would know.
remember. Wasn't there like something post-season about how like she was like speaking out about the show in her videos or something on social media following the season?
Maybe.
Like, this is very somewhat familiar to me.
All right, Mike gets
I
the dollar.
remember, now that you say, I don't know if I don't remember anything about videos, but I do know, because I think I remember responding to one of her tweets. It was like maybe the day after they had all been flown home, and she said something along the lines of like, basically trying to throw shots at the show and trying to throw shots at some of her fellow house guests. And I just commented, I was like, you might just want to delete the app at least for a month or so, because I don't think you're aware of what's awaiting you here. I would just steer clear. But she definitely had some things to say
Was it like you
afterwards.
didn't see everything vibes? Like, did she think that we had no idea what had really been going on?
No, I don't think it was. I think it was more she was criticizing something about the other, like, about her fellow house guests, and then just something about the show in general. I don't think it was
Yeah.
like, I can't remember specifically.
Yeah, I
but-
think there was also something as like, I'm reading up now that she had like posted a message the next year before BB Can came back, being like, "All right, everybody, be prepared. This is gonna strip you of everything. You're being studied. It's gonna be like not implying like it's gonna be a bad experience, but sort of like good luck."
Yeah, right. So
I looked at Carol hashtag BBCan8, and the first tweet that came up for me was my own tweet, joking about how Carols are only allowed to play on the 8th season of their country's Big Brother.
That sounds like even pre-diary room Matt. Like, I've got the stats, I know.
That's just I'm consistent. For
All right,
better
well,
or for
Big
worse.
Brother 28. Let's see if we get a Carol back.
Yeah, if that counts. All right. Well, I said I wanted to be chaotic, but not this chaotic.
Your limits
Sorry.
only go so far.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry, Carol. You didn't want to be there in the first place. You don't want to be here now, I'm sure. So, Kayla, screwed, robbed, but not here today, at least by my account. Mike, what about you?
No, listen, this is again, to your point, extends beyond the reign of my Chaos Kingdom. So it's
Mhm.
gotta be Kayla right here. There's no argument you can make for Carol. It's not even like, well, she was playing so well and then she wanted to leave. It's like, nope, she was making offensive comments and kind of wasn't doing much, and then she decided she wanted to leave.
Yeah. I'm on.
let's just search Carol BB Can. People are like, the truth, Carol's breast milk is starting to deplete. I can't.
So this is maybe, you know what? This is maybe why we need Celebrity Big Brother back, was specifically for the Keisha Knight Pulliam meme of my breast milk has depleted. What a wild experience. Because remember, that was also a live eviction. And like, I don't think any of us expected her to stand up during an eviction and be like, all right, everybody, it's my time. These things are going. So can I go now?
And I also see a tweet from Amon from May 2020 that says, "No Arissa, no audience. Bye, Carol." With the gif of "It's what she deserves." So I think that was just a hope for like get out of here.
We were so over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is also what she deserves. So I'm going to once again say goodbye to Carol and
Yes.
Hello, Kayla. Yeah.
Shout out to Felipe, patron vote on Kayla. Felipe previously had a vote on Bailey, so big BB Can 12 guy, and helping Kayla to secure her way into round 2, though it is now a 4-0 vote, flying past Carol there. So that's our first matchup of the day. Not as chaotic as I was hoping for, but we got 2 more to go. Let's see where this goes. I mean, I knew I was going to have fun whenever Carol came up, and we did.
And why not if?
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Spicy meat.
Oh, baby. Here we go. Oh, yes.
Victoria.
That was like the one name we didn't mention from the, who's here that we need to talk about. And so maybe she felt that absence and wanted to put herself in the mix.
Well,
you signed up for this.
Luckily, we've already kind of leaned into the conversation a little bit with the Kayla of it all, because that's kind of immediately where I would start. But we can wind it back a little bit, Amon, if we have some notes to get to.
Yeah, we sure do. Victoria, best remembered for her big personality and erratic gameplay. Victoria won the first comp of the season, giving Team Destiny immunity for the first week. In week 3, she won HOH and evicted LaToya in an effort to get closer with Jed and Ty. During that week, she also created the Oddballs Alliance to rival the dominating Sunsetters. Victoria targeted her former allies, Austin and Brayden, after she won the Invisible HOH in week 5, despite them still believing they were working together. After Austin's eviction, Victoria was blindsided as she was backdoored the following week by Beth and unanimous 6-0 vote. Returning in BB Can 12, Victoria worked well with Anthony throughout the season while building her own army of loyal players on the side. Eventually, after dismantling her own army, Anthony took her out at Final 5 and left Victoria feeling extremely betrayed.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, creating, I would say two of at least the most seen clips I've seen of BB Can in recent memory, which is Victoria's infamous argument with Tara. You signed up for this. I feel like it's a clip that's been used a lot, especially in lieu of people wanting to leave the game. And then, of course, like I see ever so often just like the full video of the Victoria Anthony confrontation in the final five where she smashes the glass, because it is just, to use the kids' terminology, cinema. It is absolute cinema, considering how much she reacts. She is an absolutely incredible TV character. I mean, like, I don't know, this is a weird comparison, but like, is she the Rachel Riley of Big Brother Canada?
I don't hate it.
Because I think she is someone who is incredibly argumentative, can win competitions, does a lot of strategy. It might not be the best strategy, but like she is always going to be talked about, but then also will like almost always get betrayed at some point.
Yeah, much worse strategically, I would say, Spicy V than Rachel, because especially after we just saw Rachel, do her thing in season 27. But Spicy, had the game in the palm of her goddamn hands and said, I can't work with my allies this long, and then I wouldn't be Spicy V. It was just too clean. So that's that. But there's a lot of intriguing moves and decisions along the way. I think back to in season 9 when she had that HOH reign where she forced LaToya out of the house, basically. The whole situation there about how Jed won the veto and wanted to take LaToya down, and Victoria said, well, if you do, I'm putting Ty on the block, your other closest ally. And they were like, you wouldn't do that. You're supposed to be working with us. And she's like, well, if you're going to ruin my week and ruin my move, then I am going to do that. And I would not have been surprised whatsoever. I would have fully expected her to make that decision if Jed used the veto. But luckily for her, that doesn't happen, and LaToya goes out that week just as she was hoping. And just like throughout the rest of that season, you obviously see why she gets called back for season 12. It's just chaos, but it's all like so well explained in the diary room, just as far as like being able to tell a interesting story.
Yeah, I think the thing about Victoria that is so intriguing to me, she's a very reactive player.
Yeah,
you bring that up, but I'm thinking, for instance, about the way, yes, you could talk about, the call coming from inside the house with the Kayla of it all, but really Victoria got things off on the wrong foot in the beginning of BB Can 12 when they had this women's alliance going. And then it's like, Donna, there's an East Coast alliance. Sorry, I'm turning on you immediately. So like, she is somebody who I think as soon as she receives what she feels is a bad piece of intel, like she will pursue that line of logic. No matter what the past has been telling her, it's all about the present.
I was like, bitch, they said her name one time and she's talking to the camera like, Donna. I'm like, girl, like, what is going on? But you know what, Mike? I think, I think Rachel Riley is definitely one of her, she's definitely Rachel's BB daughter for sure, BB Can daughter, because because you think about Rachel, you think whirlwind, but underneath that whirlwind, like at the center of the storm, there is a good-ish player there. Like there's strategy there, there's intent, there's thought, and ultimately what makes something makes sense for her game. But I think the way that it's packaged is so everyone perceives it as chaotic because the emotions are so upfront. But it makes sense, like what she did with, forcing them into like the whole LaToya situation. That made sense for her game. She told them right then and there, like, I came to you guys, Jed, I came to all three of you. I said, I want to work with you guys. Don't forget about me, especially on some shit. Like I told y'all, I'm trying to be in this. Y'all weren't really messing with me. And there was like, it was interesting watching that entire dynamic, because I remember there was like a bit of a conversation amongst Black Big Brother fans about the differences in Blackness and how even within, Blackness, there is like, sometimes there's like a little bit of a, are you really kinfolk or are you just skin folk? And I feel like there was a large conversation surrounding that with Victoria in particular. And we got to kind of see it happen in front of us. But regardless of any of that, she got the stiff arm from them, essentially. And she said, all right, well, if y'all aren't letting me in, I can only assume y'all aren't with me. And so her, stiff arming them back is only the logical thing to do. But I think, again, because of the way that she talks and because of the way that she's like, okay, I'll just put Beth up. What do you guys want to do? Like, they're like, oh, you're crazy. So I think it makes sense, but I think it's perceived as chaotic as opposed to just her playing her own game.
No.
And so when she comes back from BB Can 12 and it's a little bit more reserved, you're like, okay, all right, okay, Victoria, I see what you're doing.
I mean, like a little more reserved, but then even again, I'll go to the whole like weird executive veto thing, right, where they all like sat around the table and she got it by default, and she's like, "Yeah, okay, Vivek's getting close to Anthony, and I can't do that." Like the Victoria Anthony dynamic was incredibly intriguing, going up until obviously when she was evicted, and culminating in the very last thing we've seen of BB Can so far, which is the rumors that she effectively like poisoned the jury against
One
Anthony.
of the most bitter we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like there's really no way to deny that. I can't imagine she would try to deny that. Like being one of the top tier, like put her in the history books with Peter and Alec and BB14 jury members, like just truly not ever going to consider voting for Anthony because of the way that the game shook out. It got personal, but it wasn't just on him.
Yeah.
It was a lot. I think back to also when we talk about the chaos, when she was the invisible HOH in season 9, and she has the power and she's like trying to trust Kiefer and trying to get that trust back. And I specifically remember the scene of her being like, "Kiefer, I'm the invisible HOH." And he's like, "Oh my God, no way. Like, this is so exciting. So we're both safe. Like, this is great." And she's like, "No, I'm just kidding. I'm not the invisible HOH." And he's like, "What? Wait, what?" And then she's like, "No, I'm just kidding. I am."
Yeah.
And they did that back and forth like 3 times. And I don't remember how it ended, but I'm sure he was just as confused and had no idea what to believe or not. Even
she's like looking at the camera, like, "Why are you looking at us?"
And which is weird because like I remember her being not invisible, but like fairly quiet in the first few weeks, especially as the Sunsetters was forming. And so it's like, all right, this is we'll see what this brings. And like it was so, I mean, BB Cam 9 was so much fun because like you thought they were forming these two sides, but again, you leave Victoria sitting for too long, she's gonna eventually just like she can't sit on her hands. Her hands always have to be doing something, and usually they're around the necks of her own allies. And she's like, you know what? Fine, bye, Austin. It's okay. We'll get rid of you at this point. And luckily, the two sides things kind of broke down anyway. Otherwise, I think you would put Victoria up there with like the Howies and the Fessies of the world, right? In terms of like shooting your own person when you had no reason to.
Yeah.
Did we already talk about you signed up for this? Because
yep, you signed up for this. It's so good.
Yeah.
Especially when like I'm pretty sure that was her eviction week. Like she was on the block and she was actively arguing with Tara, just being like,
she called that house meeting.
Yeah, which was like, and then it descended into that chaos of her being like, "What, you want to leave? You missed your family? Who the hell cares?" At this point, and that's the other thing too. That again, is very Rachel Riley-esque. Is like she will speak her mind, and you think that on paper that would translate to, okay, if she's honest to me personally, she'll be honest to me strategically. But that's the fun thing about her, is that it's the complete opposite. It's like, oh no, she will be blunt into your face, but she will betray you at a moment's notice without giving you any sort of warning.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, Avery goes pretty soon after they do the Kayla thing, if not like immediately after, I think, actually.
Yeah.
And then Victoria hangs in the game like a little bit longer, ultimately going out in 5th place. And it's like, I guess she really did see the window of, I could still somehow win this game, even though I've lost some key pieces and whatnot. She's worked so hard on the Bailey relationship along the way. But like with Lexus, it was nothing. With Todd, it was nothing. And with Anthony, that's what she was like banking on, that he would eventually be okay with her and still have this, final 2 and take each other to the end, because they had a real life friendship of some sort going into the game. But it's like, that's a huge misstep at that point to still think that's a reality, or at least to like, fight your way through it, have that big blow up. That's fun. But like, get out of the house and recognize, I was a big threat and nobody should have wanted to sit next to me in the end. To get to the end and still be as bitter, which look, every juror has the right to be as bitter as they want based on what happens within the house. Like, that's where I sit with being a bitter juror, but it was something to watch that finale.
And I mean, to be fair, like, she got evicted like a week, 10 days before the finale too. Yeah. So like she didn't have not to say that if she was given multiple weeks, she would have come there any less bitter, but like the wound was still incredibly fresh. I think also having Anthony be in the final 2 as well certainly didn't help. Like if he had somehow been evicted at the final 4, final 3, maybe it would have made her be a little less teeth bared going into the final 2. But yeah, I mean, considering also the fact that Avery was on the jury. Yes, everything happened with Kayla, but she was in a good relationship with her. She was in she seemed to. The reason why she was in such a good position is because she was in good standing with so many people, and so she was arguably able to kind of weaponize that when she got to the jury of being like, hey, you all respect me, you all listen to me. I mean, again, you could almost make that argument of Rachel with the Big Brother 27 jury too, that she was able to kind of play the game after the game in a manner of speaking.
Yeah.
I ultimately don't think anything Spicy did to the jury. She was really trying to get the jury to be anti-Anthony. I don't think that it really worked on anything else besides maybe Tola. Because I think that there was just so much love for Bailey that unfortunately for Anthony, it was a misread of realizing that Bailey had so much love in the jury house, regardless of how good he plays Big Brother. He knows he's a good player, so he just figured he can beat anybody. But it's hard to see many votes that would have been Anthony votes, regardless of the Spicy of it all, just because of the connections she made with so many of the people there. But let's see how Spicy fares in a matchup here.
This will be interesting.
Who's gonna be the Carol here?
I mean, we have potential for an all-time matchup.
Oh man, if it's
some of
Spicy
these
versus
names,
Spicy versus Dane would be very fun.
I'm scared.
That'd just be fun.
All right, who's it gonna be? I'm so scared. I'm so scared.
Okay, we're fine.
Oh no.
I mean, honestly, both of those options that it came down to probably would have been fine for Spicy. I'm just guessing. But Kayla Grant, Mike, was the next name on the wheel beyond this name. So the name that did come up is Esty from BB Can 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The just languishing pause just indicates, honestly, my take on the cast of BBK 27, which is like, if you're not talking about the pretty boys and you're not talking about Damien or Sam, like, it's gonna be rough sledding here, boys.
You have a lot to say about Damien?
Damien, wasn't he like the big fan favorite? Like,
he was.
I mean, he was by Canada's account. By my watching the show in the live feeds account, who?
Yeah, I mean, but there was at least a lot of push for him to be the chosen one that would fight against.
He started the season as like the one that got the vote to get into the house and all that stuff, but it didn't land ultimately. But hey, he had a good connection with Esty, who we're talking about here. Did she go by Esty or Steph? I feel like she went by both.
I'm pretty sure she went by Esty, I thought.
Yeah. I think it was both. But Aman, do we have notes?
Esty played from the bottom for most of the game, losing ally after ally and ultimately playing a game dominated by the pretty boys. Despite this, Esty was able to make a deep run using her showmans with Dane to protect her, in addition to her strong relationships with Damien and Kira. Despite not being the initial target in week 8, Damien winning the POV put the target on Esty's back as one of the few remaining non-pretty boys. Esty was evicted by a vote of 3-1.
I have no memory of a showmance with Dane. I was 10 years old when I learned that.
It was so, I would say, brief, but also like non-existent. I'm trying to think of maybe like the Christian and Alyssa type of thing, where it's like people think it could be a thing and they're kind of looking at each other. And I don't remember how much they did or didn't share a kiss in the house, but it wasn't like when I think she was basically like Dane's closest person, and there was some kind of attraction between the two of them, to my memory. But certainly not your classic BB Can all out showmances of people that just fall in love in that house. I got so much of nothing on this woman. She was so sweet, so nice. She was close with Kiki. They were friends. They were allies. She ended up being close with Damien. And again, the her and Dane relationship is like the highlight of it all. But exactly like you're saying, Mike, if you're not one of the pretty boys or, people that I guess made it all the way to the end of the game outside of the pretty boys, which is just Kai, I don't have much on you for this season.
Yeah, I mean, she was kind of in this, I don't know, Meg Malley position, right? Where she just kept getting nominated against her allies. Something I found on Big Brother Wiki was that she technically never cast a vote in the jury phase because she was nominated at Final 9, Final 8, and Final 7, and basically only got out because it was just down to her and Damien, right, on this quote unquote side of the house, and Damien won the veto. And so it's all right, well, we got to get rid of her.
Yeah. And Dane, I don't remember even minding that it was time for her to go at that point, even though he's like he was her plus one.
He did vote to evict Mark for what it's worth. He did not vote to evict her.
I believe that, but I still feel like he was okay, like to move forward without her.
Yeah, I mean, he knew that it was coming eventually. He did sort of like in those conversations about who needed to go. You know, he was always in her corner when it came to the pretty boys. You know, but you know, Anthony also was kind of just like of the position where it's like I got to get rid of as many of these parachutes before mine as possible. So I think the writing was kind of just on the wall at the point when it was time for her to go, especially when Damien wins. It's just kind of like, okay, well, girl, what are we gonna do? But yeah, I mean, the only thing that I really remember about her game, like outside of anything having to do with Dane, is I think she was a part of Sam's alliance. But it wasn't like she was
Barely.
really driving any of the strategy there. She kind of was just a number. She mentioned taking out some of the guys from time to time, but never really acted on it. And if she ever spoke about it with Dane, you knew that that information was going straight back. So,
I mean, she was one of the people who did not vote to evict Mackie. So unfortunately, she was caught up in the plague being put on the
Right.
house, despite the fact that she did not actively cause it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that was a close vote,
Yeah.
if I remember
Yes,
correctly.
6-5.
Yeah.
Dane had to break the tie.
Yeah. It just, I mean, again, a sweet girl, but really didn't bring much of anything to the show itself. And you know, the gameplay on that season from anybody that wasn't in the Pretty Boys, it was just like the most imbalanced season. Like, I don't know how they did it. You know, when the Pretty Boys came together and they managed to scoop up all three guys that had worthwhile brains in that house and Mark, and then they found additional people, you know, the strategy, to kind of help them throughout the game as much as possible, and then cut them when necessary, and that's what happened. So Corey goes, that's Anthony's person. SD goes, that was Dane's person, but
Mhm.
the guys made their way to
Mhm.
the end. Dane gets the win, and I could not tell you again a single thing about SD in the time since Big Brother. If she has remained watching the show or anything like that, I haven't heard one peep.
Yeah, me neither.
And unfortunately for her, I mean, not to forecast what I think is going to happen here, but she got a tough matchup here against a legend of the franchise. But I don't know. Anybody here feel like Spicy is maybe just too messy, and this very boring basic player is more worthwhile of a pick to go through? Mike, no.
No, because even if like she was in sort of like to go back to a BB Can 12 comparison, like if she was in the Todd position of like, you know, not the biggest player, but like made their way to the end and then just sort of got unceremoniously booted there might be more of a credence there. It might be that infamous Corey Brooks versus Jonathan Bennett of like, okay, well, the early player, you know, do you either take the person who played chaotically but went out early versus, okay, the one who did nothing but still made it to the end? But no, I mean, this is going up against one of the biggest characters in the history of the show. And again, not just a character, someone who actively gamed. And even if the gaming was not all necessarily of a good quality, there were still at least some moves that were made that outweighed the nothing that SD did.
Yeah, it was not always good, but it was much more than SD. So it sounds like Mike is casting his vote officially for Spicy. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Spicy V is going through. Amon.
Same here, baby.
Yeah,
Signed up for
3-0.
this.
3-0. I actually think it was a 4-0. With Nate having cast a
Oh,
patron vote onto Spicy V. So
Wow.
you know, these BB Can episodes, not only do we have to like get to these players that not everyone has on their wheel, but some patron votes are just chilling here, waiting for their day. And today's the day.
wow. Hot chocolate is coming through
Yes,
on this
so
podcast today.
shout out to Spicy and shout out to Nate getting Spicy into round 2. But we have to do this one more time if we're all
Okay.
prepared
Oh, I
for
just see Damien.
he's still here. We could send him through and leave Esty behind, or we could just send them both out. I don't know. Let's find out.
Now that's the pretty boy
Damien,
talking to you.
The fact
any other
that
big
BB
names?
Can 8 is still on his wheel is just so funny to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
And here we go. BB
Oh,
Can.
I think it's gonna keep moving. No.
Oh, okay. I'm actually interested in this one.
No, we're going to BB6, and we're going to
Yeah.
be talking about Will, who, after watching the feeds, I was talking like this man for a while.
He
after
has
the
one of
feed.
I think the biggest, best Newfoundland accents we've ever heard. And BB Can love their Newfies.
Yeah,
But
They do.
maybe it's because he did like the Screechin challenge, right? Where he had them all address and he had them all hold the fish and everything. But like, I remember his accent being incredibly prominent.
He was the one. They had the fish challenge,
Yeah.
and it was like trying to like recreate whatever, like having everybody say the saying, and I can't remember it right
Yeah,
now.
that's
But
what
he was.
that's the screeching. If anyone's ever seen the musical Come From Away, that's what they
Is
talk
he a
about.
screecher or something like that?
Yeah, it's like, is you a screecher?
I'm not gonna keep trying to say because I'm gonna mess it up. But I remember I can hear it in my head. Anyway, let me get Will Kenny on the screen, not Will Kirby. Don't adjust your screens. Close enough, but
And this was also like prototypical Big Brother Canada castmate, right? Was an oil
Yeah.
technician, blue
Mhm.
collar guy, but like sort of a fan favorite as well. But I'm really interested to talk about him because like I think he sort of outkicks the coverage of his archetype, considering that like when we talk about, you know, that middle faction that veered so much back and forth during that middle part of the game. Yeah, we talk about Paris, we talk about Maddie to a certain extent, but Will was a part of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Mike, I have bad news for you. In an episode you would not have been able to see or hear about yet, one of Will's close allies in the game, Veronica, recently eliminated.
Plur,
Out.
R.I.P.
Mhm.
Yeah, tough matchup. But we'll see if Kenny, if Will will have better fate. Mon, do we have notes?
Yes, however brief. Will, a quiet player, Will aligned with Maddie in Paris most of the season. He was evicted in fourth place when Paris was HOH, and the showmans Derek and Kayla kept each other safe post veto. That's all we've got.
I
But
don't know
I
if
feel
we
like
know. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I think it obfuscates something where, if I'm recalling correctly, wasn't there something at like the final 5 where it was that endurance challenge where they were like standing on the
Yes.
pegs with the voodoo dolls and he like stepped off and gave the
Yes,
HOH
and he was
to Kayla?
so pissed off that he messed that up. Yes, 100%.
That's the thing I really remember about Will, besides the accent, is like very specifically that moment, because it really ended up screwing over. You'd think in the short term at least it screwed over his alliance because it gave Kayla and Derek sort of by proxy immunity for the week. But it was again like, for him being so mild mannered and soft spoken, that was the most animated we had ever seen him.
And then
Yeah.
it gets even worse that round, because this is the round where Maddie gets totally gaslit into thinking she's like the worst person in the world because she turned on Paris or whatever the deal was there.
Mhm.
And Will really contributes to that in like making Maddie feel really shitty when they had been friends for the entire season. Will was in such an interesting spot. Look, you all know I love talking about BB Can 6 past episode 3, but when the house is like all so interconnected, there's so many different groups and a lot of connections from one group to the other. Will was one of those. Will was a part of the trio with Paris and Maddie, but he also had this connection to Derek and Kayla, and he somehow tried to maintain a position in the middle of them, but it wasn't because he's like a big gamer. It was just because he happened to make connections with people from both different groups. And when it came down to it, he ends up going out in fourth place looking for Derek or Kayla to save him, or whoever was the actual vote that week. But there was no world where that was going to happen because they knew that his loyalty ultimately was to Paris, not Derek and Kayla, and blah, blah, blah. But he did find himself in an interesting spot, Amon.
And sorry, I will just quickly fact check myself. It's even worse than I remembered, because it wasn't the HOH competition; it was the veto competition.
It was the veto.
Kayla already won and put Maddie and Paris up, so Will could have won the veto and saved one of them, and then the entire trio would have been protected and would have been sitting in the final 4. But
Right.
he lost.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
And he was not happy.
Yeah. What I remember the most about him is just his ability to sort of just like go back and forth, back and forth. And whenever he would be talking game with people, it always felt like it was him inquiring about like how the game should play out or how it would work. And I feel like that's what was so disarming about him, especially when it came to Dela, because they kind of wanted to keep him around, not only just because he was likable, but because he felt non-threatening socially, but also he just couldn't really win comps. Like he just wasn't great with the comps. And I think that, you know, with them being so powerful in that way, it was just like an easy like visual shield for them to have. And also because Paris, you know, was kind of just running circles around him socially, like, and I don't think he realized just how much work she was doing. And when it came down to those final weeks, he's going to be the one to go over her. So, but I think that he was pretty solid. I feel like he everybody liked him. He worked with everybody. Almost
Yeah.
everybody that went home, he had some kind of relationship with, or some kind of working soft alliance with. Like it was actually very, very impressive.
Yeah, he was a very good social player, and I don't know how much of that was like out and out strategy versus again just like him being a good hang and getting along with everybody. I don't exactly know what his end game plans would have been. Like I do
Mhm.
wonder if he goes to the final two with one of the trio, like especially given what we saw Paris do in that final two. Like, does he win against her despite how well liked she is? Even against like one of the members of Dela, how does he do considering how impressive their resume was? The other big thing I remember was like he was not a big studier, and considering that, the other reason why that voodoo veto was so tough is because that was tailor made for him. That was a physical endurance competition. Not a lot of other ones in the BB Can endgame. It's all about studying, it's all about days, and Will did not have days for days.
No. I think I agree with you guys about just like the general aspect of like his social spot, and I was just saying about how connected he was, but I am reminding myself of a lot of like really moody, temperamental times in the house
He
that
did have a temper.
that was probably maybe stands out to me even more so. Like, I don't know how that translates into if he sat in the final two chair, if like the anger that he showed at times would be enough that people were like, actually, maybe not. Cause I feel like he did have some decent friendships with a lot of the people in there, but it's just like, it's not someone who, if he were to, for some reason, end up on an all-star cast, I would ever have any faith in, just because he's not a rational thinker. He's a very emotional thinker, like very, very emotional. And really just kind of got led throughout the game by whoever pulled him in closest that week, which was obviously a lot of Paris, a good amount of Derek at the beginning of the game. It was Hamza a lot that I think had connections with him. So he never really had his own journey. He was just kind of always attached to somebody else. So there's a little bit of that for me.
Yeah, but if he did come back, I think you could chalk him in as like someone who's guaranteed to make like final 7, final 6, because all the points he made is another reason why he would do at least pretty well.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. Well, let's find Will an opponent to end our day here today. Totally interesting one here because I don't know. For me, feel like this could really go either way. So
yeah, this is a choose your own adventure type of matchup right now.
let's see. Will is going to be matched up against. Who are we? Almost. Oh, I was going to say closing the book on BB Can 12, just about. But no, we're going to be going to BB Can 10, I believe, right? For the first boot, Jay.
Second boot, right?
Second boot?
Yeah, because remember, no,
Melina?
first boot.
Is that the same season?
I thought Melina was the first boot for BB Can 10.
Oh, maybe.
But we barely saw her.
You might be right.
Right?
Oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I was mixing it up with BB Can 9 with the guy, was it Josh, the one who got evicted second?
Yeah. This is so funny. But yeah, no, I think he is the second one out.
Yeah, I remember Jay, and
because Melina was out like so fast. It was like,
yes,
like
that's the downside about BB Can is how they unceremoniously boot someone so early on.
These first boots are just, they might as well not even be on the show.
But I remember this was also like a pretty easy. Well, it's interesting, right? Because like I remember Jay was an outsider because they were with Melina. They were with Jess as well, who was definitely on the outs to start the game. And then it was basically like, all right, Marty won. They got put up, and they were seen as more threatening than, I even forgot who they're even up against.
Yeah. Jay. All right, Jay started their game off in a good spot after being the fastest person to enter Big Brother's call, earning themselves safety for the week. However, Jay slowly became an outsider from the rest of the house in that same week. When Marty won HOH in week 2, they were put on the block as a target due to being outside all the majority alliances. Jay was evicted from the house in a 10-2 vote, only gaining the hinky votes of Kyle and Herman.
Yeah, So yeah, firmly second boot here. This has not much to do with Jay specifically, but I do remember when Marty won that HOH and is targeting like only Jay and nobody else. Definitely remember being a little like, don't know about this Marty guy.
Yeah, I
What
knew
is it
that,
about
yeah.
Jay that is so threatening to you, that stands out so much? And I think that then eventually Kevin jumps in and is like helping to keep Marty on track for a plan that makes sense for Kevin. And Jay just ended up being a name that so many people in the house were jumping on board with, of like, yeah, feel like this guy could be this person could be a threat, so let's target them and get them out as soon as possible. You're looking for any reason early on in the game, and there wasn't really a reason, but it was just the fact that everybody seemed to agree, which is really a problem that, I think has been addressed very often with LGBTQIA plus,
Yeah.
individuals in the house this early on, where it's just like, what was it? What was it that caught your attention about them that made them seem so threatening? Is it just they're so lovable, they're so social, that you're like, oh, well, obviously I could never beat them in a final two vote? Or is there just something else going on that makes them stand out to you? I don't know, but I don't remember anything specifically that Jay did wrong to put themselves in such a bad situation, even though once they were on the block, I feel like at that point it wasn't the best handled. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember. I think I was on. Maybe I was on the eviction podcast for this, and I remember like the bigger thing to talk about was Betty was on the block. I think Betty ends
yeah.
up getting put on when JC Lynn vetoes herself, and like that was one of the infamous conversations between Kevin and Betty, right? Of like, all right, you can pretend not to like me, but he's like, I don't like you.
Yep,
I
yep.
do hate you.
Also, Jay answered the phone call on day one and earned safety for the week, so I guess like a little bit of standing out from that, but like, God
Jay answers the
forbid.
phone really quickly. Comp beast.
God forbid. Yeah, and then the conversations with Marty, I'm checking my notes. Were just all not going well. Every time that Jay went up to talk to Marty, it was just like Marty had zero interest in pursuing any kind of relationship and
Mario didn't tell
saying,
them to kick up their feet.
yeah. But very unfortunate because I remember being very excited for the potential of Jay as a character on the show.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's just one of those things where you're the one where you're the outsider in the beginning, and it's kind of hard because everyone wants that target to stay the same. Don't change it, don't shift it, because it'll be me. Like no one wants to be at risk. And Herman I felt like I just remember Herman sort of being the one to really spearhead that, and to be saying all these things about Jay that I was like, it sounds like that's you.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're the one that is reading too much into things, and you're the one that's very social and talking to everybody, because how did you convince the entire house to just do what you wanted to have happen? So, but again, when people, when alliances were forming and everyone was just like going into their corner, and Jay's not there for any of them, there's really not much that you can do. It's hard to play your way out of that unless you win a veto to protect yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if anything, the purpose that Jay served is that it really set up the beginning of the very short run of Kyle Moore 2.0, where, like, again, he was the fun sort of casting choice, and then he's one of the two people alongside Armand to cast a hinky vote against Betty to, like, spread chaos. And then I remember he ends up winning that HOH, and then it just all goes south from there.
What a
Despite
fun
to say.
season.
Such
No,
a
like
fun season.
truly, I love BB Can 10. I wish BB Can was more watchable. First of all, for anybody that's like watching this podcast or listening along with us, and the amount of times that people say, well, how can I watch? I'm like, there's sites, but have the ad blocker on if you really want to be able to watch it. It's just
Tough and
not.
BB can to have an ad blocker on, considering that blocks out like 15 minutes of each episode too. If you're cutting out all
That's
the commercials.
true. Yeah, you'd be cutting out all of the cleaning segments and sponsored competitions, and so that'd be tough. But I don't know. This is interesting. Will from BB Can 6 versus Jay BB Can 10. Mike, what are you thinking?
I mean, where there's a will, there's a way into the next round. I wish I was going to come in here and invite a more of a wild card choice, but yeah, a little bit of a layup on this one. I think Will is going to be a very, again, interesting person to talk about in future rounds once he goes up against assumingly harder competition, because again, I think that he has probably promoted some of the most interesting conversations we've had in this podcast of like, okay, he's good in some ways, but he's not good in a lot of other ways. Does that make him good? Does that not make him good? When you put him up against someone who maybe didn't make it as far, but flashed in other places, even someone like an Ali, for instance, from his season, who I saw was on the wheel, like, who would win there? So I'm going to send Will through just sort of by default, but I'm intrigued to see, put a pin in him and then promptly pull it out of the voodoo doll in the next round.
I mean, that's if he makes it to the next round, because I'm voting for Jay.
Whoa!
I mean, I did say I wanted to be chaotic, and I guess like this is the most opportunity that I have to be chaotic.
It's literally the last opportunity.
But I stand by it. Like truly, I think that Jay is truly a player where like we don't know what, it's complete unknown, but I did not see anything that I can really remember in those first couple of days that made me feel like this is someone who would not be good at the game, just did not get a fair shake through the first 13 days. And I remember those conversations with Marty where it was just like Marty was being so thick-headed as he was the entire season. So that's a tough thing to go up against, especially when you have no relationship with these people through the first 13 days. And Will was so emotional. Will, like, again, was just kind of led through the game by so many other players that, yeah, he like laid low and was like formed these relationships, but it's because nobody was ever targeting him because he was so easy to kind of pull onto their side and manipulate all the way down to the end of the game. So I'm going to take the potential of Jay over Will and let him on make the final call.
Just to like really broad brush this conversation. So there's a showdown here between someone who's a very low key, tall, athletic white man who makes it to the final four of a season versus someone who is from the LGBTQ plus community who we feel was not given a fair shake and just due to pure circumstances was eliminated early on. And you have chosen to go with the latter. I just want to put that out there.
Corey Brooks would have won the game.
And we don't know if Will would have.
Will, I don't think would have won the game.
I'm just drawing this line for everybody, okay? It's been a long year and 3 months.
I will take your point. Come on.
I mean...
And Jonathan Bennett was bad. He was chaotic. He was being Mr. Superfan in the house, going around.
Okay,
with all the
and Tamar won that season. And Tamar won. So, you know...
I'm actually surprised that Amon hasn't said a name yet, just because when I said Jay, Amon was like,
yeah, the is very disconcerting to me.
Well, you gave me a little bit to chew on, but I think, yeah, where there's a will, there's a way. And
where there's a will, there's a Dayla to completely knock him out of the game, is what you're trying to say. But sure.
How about where there's a will, there's a J? Do you want that to be the title of your podcast?
There's a way, and it ain't with Jay.
All right, fine. Outnumbered here, just like I was last time.
Amon and I have this ironclad alliance going on.
Unbelievable. All right, Jay, I tried. We all tried. Or we all, as in you, me, and the 2 people that voted for Betty to go home in that week. But
those that you wore during your eviction were fab, boo. Send them to me.
I think Jay is actually somebody who did stay a little engaged in the BB community post show. I remember seeing some tweets pop up, but it's been a minute. All right, well, let's recap. Will from BB Can 6 goes through to the next round. Jay, BB Can 10 is no longer in the competition unless Battleback vote. But Spicy V, 2-time BB Can player from seasons 9 and 12 goes through over SD from BB Can 7. And we also had another BB Can 12 player, Kayla, go through to the next round over, I would call her a legend if not for the comments, because the quitting of it all was kind of crazy, iconic. But there's too many other factors to just be happy that Carol from BB Can 8 is out of the competition now. And again, Kayla goes through. Mike, that's it. That's the day.
That's it. Happy to fill back in to help get through some. It's just great to reflect back on BB Can, especially the fact that we got to spend so much time talking about BB Can 12, BB Can 10, and BB Can 6. Again, I'll go back to what I said during one of my many initial monologues here, which is like when BB Can is good, it is really good. Like there's so many cool things in it. There's so many interesting people. There's people that are interested in making moves that, again, can usually be incredibly self-destructive, but at least can be talked about. And so I'm thrilled that I got lucky enough to talk about some very interesting people from these past few seasons, and I'm looking forward to hearing about more of them as you guys continue to make your way through the first round.
Yeah, we didn't have to send Spicy home, which I feel like would have just really created that heat that in like 2 years from now at the next live show, somebody comes up to you and talks. Well, not that there's going to be 2 years in between live shows, but it was a long time since that decision happened. And that's when people are bringing it
Oh
up
my
to you
God.
now.
I mean, yeah, Spicy versus Dane would have been, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
spicy.
Yeah.
Very
I mean,
much so.
by Spicy, I mean, I'll tell you how that one's going to go.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. More so the result than the actual dissertation about it, you know?
Yeah. But you know, we had a good round of matchups today. Amon, any final thoughts on any of them?
Yeah, no, these were good, and you know we still have quite a couple names left that are big for BBCAN. So this is it's heating up. It's heating up in these Canadian streets. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that'll do it for today. Mike, thank you so much for joining us here in this jolly old month of December. Anything special to point people to for your content these days?
Well, listen, I imagine that people listening are probably fans of Big Brother. And if you're not watching The Amazing Race 38, which is the specifically themed around Big Brother players and their loved ones, what are you doing? At the time this is being released, I think we're probably encroaching on like very close to the finale, if not the finale being next week. So I guess, say at this point, I don't know, probably congratulations to Jazz and Jag or Tucker and Eric. That's probably where things are going at this moment, but you never know. The Amazing Race can surprise us. But of course, I'm covering that both in written form, doing interviews for Parade, as well as getting to cover it, as Matt alluded to, every week in costume form over on RHAP with Rob and Jessica Leese. Outside of that, covering Survivor as well, doing the B&B, doing that for Parade too. And then the Reality Flash. So anytime there's a random piece of reality TV news out there, I am in your eyes and ears giving you everything you need to know. But in general, you can follow me. You can continue to complain about me choosing Jonathan Bennett over Corey Brooks at me at a Mike Bloom type.
Mike, whenever we get the news that Arissa's back, BB-Can's back, that Reality Flash episode is going to hit.
Oh my God. Yes. Make it happen. Manifest it right now that we will have that in our lifetimes, let alone maybe in the next 5 years or so.
Oh, we are absolutely manifesting. Amon, not ready for Drag Race yet, but still, of course, plenty active as far as we are concerned over on Patreon, losers brackets, battle back votes, all that stuff.
Yes, I'm sure Drag Race is probably gearing up to get started, so you can always check me out over there. But until then, I am in the diary room, baby.
Yeah, make sure you're checking out the losers brackets. I will say we have some fun plans for patron content in round 2, which means that the losers brackets, well, we're going to find the worst player in Big Brother, but so it's going to be a round 1 exclusive. So make sure you're checking those out before they are done when round 1 completes. And the battle back votes will continue into future rounds, but be a part of them now. Make sure that your favorite player doesn't go completely out of the competition if you have anything to do with it. Otherwise, check me out on talking all things the challenge and the Amazing Race on the Free Agents podcast. At this point, the season of Dancing with the Stars will likely have been wrapped up, so I was crossing wires in my head there trying to figure out.
I was gonna say, call your shot right now. Give a belated congratulations to somebody.
Congratulations, Robert and Whitney. There's no doubt in my mind there that they walked away with the mirror ball. So congratulations to them, or whoever else did, but I think it's them. That's gonna do it. Amon, get us out of here.
Yes, our thanks to Mike Bloom for joining us once again. And until next time, guys, please go to the diary room.